My best friend asked when I was planning to tell everyone about my terminal diagnosis since she already organized my memorial service and started dating my fiancé to help him through the grief. I was looking at wedding invitations when Tessa walked into the cafe and asked the question that shattered my world. So, when were you planning to tell me you're dying? I mean, I understand wanting privacy, but I'm your best friend. I deserve to know. She sat down across from me with her coffee and pulled out her phone like she was about to show me evidence. I stared at her, my brain refusing to process what she'd just said. What are you talking about? I'm not dying. She tilted her head with this pitying expression that made my stomach turn. Olivia, Daniel told me everything. The diagnosis, the prognosis, how you've only got a few months left. He's been devastated. We all have been. I felt the room tilt slightly. Daniel was my fiancé. We were getting married in 4 months. I'd been with him for 3 years, and he was the most stable thing in my life after my parents died. Daniel told you I'm dying? My voice came out flat and strange. When did he tell you this? She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. 2 months ago. He needed someone to talk to, and you know how close we've all become since college. He's been carrying this alone, and it's destroying him. That's why I wanted to help plan your memorial service, so you could have input on how you want to be remembered. I pulled my hand back slowly. My memorial service. She said it casually, matter-of-factly, as if discussing funeral arrangements for a living person was completely normal. Tessa, I don't have a terminal diagnosis. I'm completely healthy. I haven't even been to a doctor in 6 months except for my regular checkup, and everything was fine. She looked at me with that same pitying expression, but now there was something else underneath it, something that looked almost like satisfaction. Denial is normal. Daniel said you might not want to accept it yet, but honey, we all know. Everyone in our friend group knows. We've been preparing ourselves for months. I felt ice slide down my spine. Everyone knew about a terminal illness I didn't have. Who exactly knows about this? She started counting on her fingers. Me, obviously. Daniel told me first because we've gotten really close lately. Then there's Rachel and Justin, Marnie, Kyle, David, pretty much everyone from our college group. We've all been so worried about you. That's why we've been so understanding when you cancel plans or seem distant. I hadn't been distant. I'd been busy with work and wedding planning and living my normal, healthy life. What exactly did Daniel tell you I have? She lowered her voice like the disease itself was sacred. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He said you didn't want people to know because you wanted to live normally for as long as possible, that you were doing experimental treatments, but the doctors gave you 4 to 6 months. That was 2 months ago, which means... She trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. I did the math in my head. Daniel started telling people I was dying right around the time Tessa broke up with her boyfriend of 2 years. Right around the time she started showing up at our apartment more frequently. Always when I was at work. Always with some excuse about needing to talk to Daniel about something important. How often have you been seeing Daniel? I asked carefully. She smiled, and there was definitely something triumphant in it now. Almost every day for the past 6 weeks. He needs support through this. Someone who can be there when you're too sick to engage. We've gotten really close. He says I remind him of who you used to be before the illness changed everything. I wanted to vomit. Not from cancer I didn't have, but from the sudden understanding of what was actually happening. Tessa, I need you to hear me very clearly. I do not have cancer. I am not dying. I have never been diagnosed with anything terminal. This is a lie. She shook her head slowly. This is exactly what Daniel said would happen. The psychological denial. The anger at people who know the truth. He warned me you might lash out. She pulled out her phone and showed me something. He's been documenting your decline. Look. The screen showed text messages allegedly from Daniel. Dates and times chronicling symptoms I never had. October 12th. Olivia threw up twice today. Barely ate dinner. October 19th. She's losing weight rapidly. Clothes hanging off her. October 28th. Found her crying in the bathroom. She won't admit how much pain she's in. I stared at the fabricated timeline of an illness that existed only in Daniel's lies. None of that happened. I've been perfectly healthy. This is insane. Tessa put her phone away and stood up. I know this is hard. I know facing your mortality is terrifying, but pushing away the people who love you isn't going to change anything. Daniel and I are here for you, whether you accept our help or not. The memorial service planning is mostly done. I've been working with a coordinator. We're thinking late March at the Botanical Gardens where you and Daniel got engaged. Full celebration of life, video tributes, memory tables. I've already contacted your HR department about bereavement resources for your coworkers. She'd contacted my workplace, told them I was dying. My legs felt weak. You need to stop this right now. You need to tell everyone that this was a misunderstanding or a lie or whatever it actually is. I'm calling Daniel. I grabbed my phone, but she put her hand over mine. He's at the grief counseling session, the one we've been going to together every Wednesday, to prepare for losing you. He finds it really helpful to have me there, someone who understands what he's going through. Wednesday was the day I worked late, staying at the office until 9 because of a major project deadline. The day Daniel said he had pickup basketball with college friends. They'd been going to couples grief counseling together, preparing to mourn me while I was still alive and healthy. Get away from me. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. Other cafe patrons turned to look. Do not contact me again. Do not contact my workplace. And stay away from Daniel. She smiled sadly, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. We'll be here when you're ready to accept reality. However much time you have left, we want to make it meaningful. Daniel loves you so much. That's why he asked me to help coordinate everything. He can't bear to plan your memorial alone. She walked out, leaving me standing there with wedding invitations spread across the table. Invitations for a wedding in 4 months that apparently would never happen because the groom had convinced everyone the bride was dying. I called Daniel immediately. It went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted him, "Call me right now. Emergency." Then I gathered up all the invitation samples and drove straight to our apartment, the one we'd moved into together last year, the one with both our names on the lease. His car wasn't in the parking lot. I let myself in, and everything looked normal at first. Our furniture, our photos on the walls, our life together exactly as I'd left it that morning. Then I noticed small things. A woman's cardigan on the back of the couch, not mine. 2 wine glasses in the sink when I hadn't had wine last night. A different brand of coffee in the kitchen, the kind Tessa always drank. I walked into our bedroom and opened Daniel's closet. Way in the back, hidden behind his winter coats, I found a box. Inside were planning documents. My memorial service, complete with venue bookings, catering quotes, speaker lists, memory book templates. The date was set for March 28th. Our wedding was supposed to be March 30th. He was planning to kill me off 2 days before our actual wedding date. I sat on the floor holding the documents, trying to understand. Then I found the life insurance paperwork underneath. Daniel had taken out a policy on me 8 months ago. $500,000. I never signed anything. I stared at my signature on the form and knew immediately it was forged. The loops were wrong, the pressure uneven. He'd practiced my signature and forged insurance documents, then invented a terminal illness to explain my upcoming death. But I wasn't actually dying, which meant he needed me to die for real. I stood up fast, my heart hammering. He was going to kill me. That's what this was. He told everyone I was dying, so when I actually died, no one would question it. Terminal cancer patient succumbs to illness, tragic but expected. The memorial service already planned, the grief counseling already attended, everyone already prepared. And Tessa was helping him. Maybe she knew the whole truth. Maybe she just thought she was supporting a grieving almost widower, but either way, she was the perfect alibi. The devoted best friend helping her dying friend's fiancé through impossible grief. I grabbed the box and ran out to my car, drove straight to the police station and asked for someone who handled fraud and attempted murder. The detective who met with me was named Laura Brennan. She had short gray hair and tired eyes that got sharper when I showed her the forged insurance documents. "You never signed this?" she asked. "Never. I didn't even know it existed until 20 minutes ago. And I don't have cancer. I'm not dying. But my fiancé has spent 2 months convincing everyone I am, including my best friend who's apparently planning my memorial service." I showed her the planning documents, the date 2 days before my wedding. Detective Brennan made notes, her expression growing darker. "How long have you been engaged?" 3 years. We were supposed to get married in 4 months. Any financial problems? Debts? Gambling? Anything that might explain why he'd want insurance money? I thought about it. Not that I know of. He works in finance, makes decent money. We split expenses pretty evenly. His parents are wealthy. He grew up comfortable. This doesn't make sense from a money perspective. She looked up at me. It makes sense if there's another woman and he doesn't want a divorce that splits assets. If you die, he keeps everything plus gets $500,000 in insurance. If you divorce, he loses half of everything and no payout. And if everyone already thinks you're dying, your actual death raises no suspicions. The logic was cold and perfect and absolutely terrifying. Tessa, my best friend, they're having an affair? That would be my guess, Detective Brennan said. She believes you're actually dying, or she knows the truth and is actively participating in the conspiracy. Either way, she provides perfect cover. The concerned best friend helping him through tragedy. No one suspects the grieving fiancé whose dying partner's best friend is supporting him. She stood up. I need you to not go home. Don't contact Daniel. Don't let him know you're aware of any of this. Is there somewhere safe you can stay? I thought of my sister Amanda in Portland, 3 hours away. I can go to my sister's. Good. Go there now. I'm opening an investigation. We'll start with the forged insurance documents. That's clear fraud. I'll need to verify your medical records to confirm there's no cancer diagnosis. And I'll need to monitor Daniel's activities without alerting him that we're investigating. I drove to my sister's apartment in a daze, my phone buzzing constantly with texts from Daniel. Hey babe, sorry I missed your calls. Basketball went late. Home soon. Love you. Then 30 minutes later. Where are you? Your car's not here. Then, Liv, you're scaring me. Please call. Then, Tessa said you two talked today and you seemed upset. Are you okay? She'd already told him about our conversation. Already warned him that I knew something was wrong. I didn't respond to any of it. Amanda opened her door and knew immediately something was catastrophic. I told her everything while she made tea with shaking hands, her face cycling through disbelief, horror, and rage. He was going to kill you, she said it flatly, stating the obvious truth we were both afraid to name directly. The forged insurance, the fake diagnosis, the memorial service. This is premeditated murder. The detective is investigating. I can't go home. I can't let him know I found out. My phone rang. Daniel. I didn't answer. It rang again immediately. He knows you're onto him, Amanda said. Tessa told him you reacted badly, didn't believe the cancer story, he's panicking. The phone stopped ringing and a voicemail notification appeared. I put it on speaker. Daniel's voice came through and he was crying. Olivia, baby, please. I know Tessa told you about the diagnosis. I know you're angry I shared it without your permission. I was just so scared. I needed support. I'm sorry. Please come home so we can talk about this. I love you. We'll get through this together. He was good. If I didn't know the truth, I would have believed the concern in his voice. The phone rang again. This time it was Tessa. I answered and put it on speaker so Amanda could hear. Liv, I'm so sorry. Daniel told me you wanted to keep the diagnosis private and I violated that by bringing it up. I was just worried about you. Please don't shut us out. Her voice cracked convincingly. We're all here for you. However much time you have left, we want to make it count. Stop lying, I said quietly. I know there's no diagnosis. I know Daniel forged insurance documents. I know you two are planning my death, not my memorial. Silence on the other end. Then Tessa's voice came back different, harder. You're being paranoid. The illness is affecting your judgment. Daniel warned me this might happen. The cognitive decline. I've been to the police. They're investigating the forged life insurance policy. They're going to verify I have no cancer diagnosis. And then they're going to figure out how you two were planning to actually kill me. I heard her breathing change. You're making a huge mistake. Daniel loves you. I'm your best friend. We're trying to help you, and you're creating this insane conspiracy theory. Then explain the forged signature on the insurance documents. Explain why my memorial service is planned for 2 days before my wedding. Explain why you've been going to grief counseling with my fiancé while I'm still alive and healthy. She hung up. 2 minutes later, Daniel called. I answered. Olivia, what the hell did you just say to Tessa? Something about police and forged documents? What's going on? His voice had an edge now, the concern replaced with something sharper. I found the life insurance policy I never signed. I found the memorial service planning documents. I know you've been telling everyone I'm dying when I'm perfectly healthy, and I know why. You're not making sense. The stress of everything is... How are you planning to do it? I interrupted. Car accident? House fire? Make it look like the cancer finally took me? The silence stretched out long. When Daniel spoke again, his voice was completely different, cold and flat. You weren't supposed to find out. Tessa wasn't supposed to tell you yet. We were waiting until closer to the date. My blood turned to ice. He just admitted it. So it's real. You're actually planning to murder me. It's not murder if everyone already thinks you're dying. It's just helping you along. Merciful, really. Quick instead of the slow, painful decline everyone's expecting. He sounded rational, logical, like he was explaining a business decision. Tessa and I are in love. We have been for over a year. But a divorce would be messy, expensive. This way is cleaner. You die a tragic death from cancer everyone already knows about. I grieve with my support system already in place. Wait a respectful 6 months, then Tessa and I can be together openly. Everyone will understand. The best friend who helped him through the worst time of his life. A love born from shared grief. You're insane. I'm practical. And you just made everything much more complicated by involving police. That was stupid, Olivia. Really stupid. He hung up. I stared at my phone, at Amanda's horrified face. He'd confessed. He'd actually confessed to planning my murder. Did you record that? Amanda grabbed my phone. I hadn't even thought about it. Call Detective Brennan right now. I called her personal number and told her everything. The whole conversation, his admission, his cold reasoning. I need you to file for a restraining order first thing tomorrow morning, she said. I'm sending patrol units to your sister's address and to your apartment. We're going to bring Daniel in for questioning about the forged documents. That's enough to hold him while we build the attempted murder case. And I need you to call him back, but this time record the conversation. Try to get him to repeat what he told you. My hands shook as I opened the voice recording app and called Daniel. He answered immediately. Changed your mind about running to the police? I need to understand why. 3 years together, Daniel. We were supposed to get married. When did this become the plan? He sighed, sounding almost tired. About 8 months ago, when Tessa and I realized we wanted to be together. I thought about divorce, obviously. But then I'd lose half of everything. The apartment, my savings, my inheritance from my grandmother. And you'd take half of the wedding fund, probably demand money for emotional damages. It would drag out for months, maybe years. Everyone taking sides, our families involved, everything messy and public. He paused. This way is better, cleaner. You die a sympathetic death. I'm the tragic grieving fiancé. Tessa is the saint who supports me, and in a year everyone's moved on and we're happy. No mess, no drama, no financial loss. Just a sad but natural conclusion to your story. Natural conclusion? You mean murder? I mean helping you die peacefully with dignity while everyone thinks it's expected. I was going to use carbon monoxide. You'd just fall asleep in your car in the garage with the door closed. The cancer patient who couldn't fight anymore. They'd call it suicide or accidental death during a moment of pain-induced confusion. No one would question it. I felt bile rise in my throat. He'd planned the method. chosen something that could pass as suicide or accident, made it painless, probably because he still had some twisted sense of mercy left. And Tessa knows all of this? Tessa thinks you're actually dying. She thinks she's being a good friend by helping plan your memorial, by supporting me through losing you. She doesn't know about the insurance or the forged documents or what happens in March. She just thinks she's preparing for the inevitable. So Tessa was a dupe, a useful idiot who provided cover and alibis without realizing she was participating in murder conspiracy. That somehow made it worse. The police are going to arrest you, I said. I recorded everything you just told me. Another long silence. Then Daniel laughed, short and bitter. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. I underestimated you. That's going to be a problem. The line went dead. Amanda grabbed me. We need to leave right now. If he knows you recorded him, if he knows police are coming, he might panic and do something immediately. But before we could move, Detective Brennan called back. We have Daniel in custody. Picked him up at your apartment. He had a bag packed, passport, cash. He was running. When officers arrived, he resisted arrest and made statements about how you'd ruined everything. We've got him on fraud charges for the insurance documents, and your recording gives us conspiracy to commit murder. He's not getting out. I collapsed onto Amanda's couch, the adrenaline finally draining. What about Tessa? We'll question her. If she genuinely believed you were dying and was just trying to help, she might face charges for interfering with insurance fraud if she helped with any of the paperwork. But if she knew the truth and actively participated, she's an accessory to conspiracy. We'll figure out which applies. The next morning, I went to the police station and gave a full statement. Everything from finding the memorial service documents to Daniel's recorded confession. Tessa was already there, sitting in an interview room, looking small and terrified. Detective Brennan showed me the preliminary results of Tessa's interview through the one-way glass. She claims she had no idea Daniel was planning anything criminal. Says she genuinely believed you were dying because Daniel showed her fake medical documents, forwarded emails allegedly from your doctors, even fake text messages supposedly from you talking about treatment side effects. He built an entire false reality for her. I watched Tessa crying, her hands shaking, looking nothing like the smug woman from the cafe yesterday. Does she know I'm not actually dying? We told her. She went into shock, started hyperventilating, kept saying she'd helped plan your memorial service, that she'd contacted your workplace and family members, that she'd been preparing your fiancé to lose you. She's devastated. Detective Brennan looked at me. I believe her ignorance is genuine. Daniel manipulated her almost as much as he manipulated you. The difference is he weaponized her concern. Can I talk to her? Are you sure you want to? I nodded. They brought me into the interview room. Tessa looked up and her face crumpled. Liv, I'm so sorry. I thought you were dying. Daniel showed me doctor's emails, test results. Everything looked real. I thought I was helping. I thought I was being a good friend by supporting him through losing you. She was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. I contacted your boss and told them to prepare bereavement resources. I called your aunt in Chicago and warned her you were declining. I spent weeks planning your memorial service thinking I was giving you the goodbye you deserved. And none of it was real. I sat down across from her. Part of me wanted to scream at her for believing the lies, for never asking me directly, for going to couples grief counseling with my fiancé. But looking at her now, I could see she'd been a victim too. Different kind of victim, but manipulated nonetheless. Daniel showed you fake medical documents? She nodded frantically. Emails from your oncologist about treatment options, lab results showing tumor markers, scans with cancer highlighted. He forwarded them from an email address that looked like it came from the hospital. I never thought to question them. Did he ever ask you to help with insurance paperwork or financial documents? No, never. He just said he needed emotional support, someone to talk to while you were going through treatments. We started meeting for coffee, then dinner sometimes, and he'd talk about how scared he was of losing you. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. I thought I was falling in love with a man facing unbearable tragedy. I thought our connection was born from grief and understanding. He played me completely. Detective Brennan came back in. Tessa, we're going to need you to provide copies of everything Daniel showed you. All the fake medical documents, emails, text messages, everything you believed was evidence of Olivia's illness. Tessa pulled out her phone with shaking hands. I saved them all. I made a folder. I thought I was documenting everything for the memorial video tribute. She showed the detective her phone and the folder labeled Liv's Journey. Inside were dozens of fabricated medical documents, falsified emails, edited text conversations. Daniel had built an entire alternate reality. Detective Brennan took Tessa's phone as evidence. You're free to go for now, but we'll need you to testify when this goes to trial. Your testimony about Daniel's manipulation, the fake documents, all of it will help prove premeditation. Tessa stood up slowly. Liv, I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you. I hate myself. I almost helped him kill you without realizing it. I'll testify to anything you need. I'll make this right somehow. I didn't know what to say to her. She'd been manipulated, yes, but she'd also been sleeping with my fiancé, planning my funeral, preparing to step into my life. The complexity of her guilt and innocence tangled into something I couldn't untangle right now. Just stay away from me for a while, I said finally. She nodded and left. Daniel's arraignment happened 3 days later. The prosecutor charged him with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, insurance fraud, forgery, and identity theft. Bail was denied. I sat in the courtroom watching the man I'd planned to marry being led away in handcuffs. He looked at me once and his expression was empty. No remorse, no shame, just cold calculation about how his plan had failed. The trial took 6 months to prepare. Daniel's defense attorney tried to argue that the recorded confession was obtained under duress, that I'd manipulated him into making statements during a moment of emotional distress. But the forged insurance documents were undeniable. The fake medical records he'd created were clear evidence of elaborate planning. And Tessa's testimony about the systematic manipulation destroyed any claim of impulsive behavior. She sat on the stand for 4 hours describing how Daniel had spent months building a false narrative, showing her doctored documents, forwarding fabricated emails, even creating fake text conversations between himself and doctors. The prosecutor showed the jury Daniel's search history, how to forge signatures, carbon monoxide poisoning symptoms, life insurance payout timeline after death, how long after spouse dies before remarriage. Each search entry was timestamped, showing months of premeditation. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they came back, the verdict was guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Daniel to 25 years, no parole for 15. I wasn't in the courtroom for the sentencing. I'd moved to Seattle 3 months earlier, taken a job transfer, started rebuilding my life away from everything Daniel had tried to destroy. My sister called with the verdict. 25 years. He'll be almost 60 when he gets out. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just exhaustion. The man I'd loved had tried to kill me for insurance money and a clean transition to his next relationship. The math of his betrayal was too cold to process emotionally. Tessa sent me a letter a week after the trial ended. I almost threw it away unopened, but something made me read it. She'd moved to a different city too, changed jobs, started therapy. I know sorry doesn't mean anything, she wrote. I helped him prepare to murder you. Even though I didn't know the truth, I still participated. I can never forgive myself for that. I'm testifying at victim impact statements about how he manipulated multiple people, how his conspiracy relied on deceiving everyone who cared about you. I hope that counts for something. The letter ended with her phone number and an offer to answer any questions I might have whenever I was ready. I never called. Some betrayals are too complex to resolve with conversation. 6 months after Daniel's conviction, I met someone new. His name was Isaac. He worked as a teacher. And when I told him on our 3rd date about my ex-fiancé trying to kill me, he listened without judgment and then said something that made me cry. The fact that you're here, that you caught him before he succeeded, means you're stronger than he ever calculated. He underestimated you? That's why he lost. We took things slowly. I had trust issues that therapy was helping with but would probably never fully resolve. The knowledge that someone I'd loved for 3 years had spent months planning my death, had forged my signature, had calculated the financial benefits of my murder versus divorce. It changed how I saw relationships, made me suspicious of kindness, wary of vulnerability. But Isaac was patient. He understood that being engaged to someone plotting your death left scars that couldn't be rushed through. Detective Brennan called me a year after the trial. I thought you'd want to know. Daniel filed an appeal. Claims ineffective counsel, says his attorney didn't properly challenge the recorded confession. It's going nowhere, but I wanted you to hear it from me first. I thanked her and hung up. Daniel would spend the next decade at minimum in prison, filing appeals, and probably still believing he'd done nothing truly wrong, that his plan had been logical, practical, just poorly executed. I wondered sometimes if Tessa still thought about her role in it, if she remembered planning my memorial service while I was healthy, coordinating a celebration of life for someone who wasn't dying, if she'd ever fully processed that the grief counseling sessions she attended were practice runs for helping murder me. The wedding invitations I'd been looking at that day in the cafe were still in a box in my closet. I'd never thrown them out, some part of me unable to discard evidence of the life I'd almost lost. Sometimes I'd look at them and remember that I'd been seconds away from ordering 400 invitations for a wedding that would never happen, marrying a man who'd already chosen murder over divorce. Isaac found them once while helping me organize storage. Are these from before? He asked gently. I nodded. He put them back in the box and closed the lid. You survived. That's what matters now. 2 years after Daniel's conviction, I was packing for a vacation when I got a message from an unknown number. This is Tessa. I'm getting married next month. Small ceremony, just family. I wanted you to know in case it bothers you. I've been in therapy since the trial, and I'm trying to build a life that isn't defined by what Daniel made me participate in. I'll always be sorry for my role in what happened to you. I hope you're doing well. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked the number. Tessa's redemption arc wasn't my responsibility to validate. She'd been a victim of Daniel's manipulation, yes, but she'd also been the weapon he'd used against me. The friend who'd helped dig my grave while thinking she was preparing a beautiful memorial. Some things couldn't be forgiven just because the intentions weren't malicious. 3 years after everything fell apart, Isaac and I got engaged. Small proposal, just us on a hiking trail, no elaborate planning or social media announcements. He gave me a simple ring and asked if I'd marry him. I said yes, and this time I knew the person asking actually wanted me alive for the wedding. We married 6 months later at a courthouse with just Amanda and Isaac's brother as witnesses. No memorial service planning, no best friends coordinating grief counseling, no life insurance policies with forged signatures, just two people choosing each other with full knowledge and consent. Detective Brennan sent a card congratulating me on moving forward. Inside she'd written, "You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. What Daniel tried to do to you would have destroyed most people. Instead, you survived and rebuilt. That's real victory." I kept the card on my desk as a reminder. Surviving wasn't passive. It was active defiance of someone's plan to erase me. It was choosing to live fully after someone had calculated my death. It was building new trust after betrayal, loving again after manipulation, existing loudly when someone had tried to make me quietly disappear. 4 years gone, I sometimes wondered if Daniel thought about what he'd lost. Not just his freedom, but the real relationship he'd traded for a murder plot. If he ever regretted choosing insurance money and a clean narrative over the messy, honest work of ending things ethically. But mostly, I didn't think about him at all anymore. My life was full of things he'd never be part of. Isaac's terrible jokes at breakfast, Amanda's kids calling me aunt, work projects I cared about, hiking trails we'd discovered, the house we'd bought together with both our names legally on the deed. Daniel had tried to write my ending, but he'd underestimated the protagonist. I'm still here, still breathing, still building a life he'll never touch. And somewhere in a prison cell, Daniel is learning that 25 years is a long time to live with the consequences of underestimating the woman you tried to erase. If you enjoyed this, you'll definitely want to see the next ones too. So subscribe now and let me know your take in the comments.